Yes, people, what's good? I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of the stranger side of cinema. Kinell Sinister Cinema is brought to you by Forgotten Sons Apparel. Check them out at ForgottenSonsApparel.co.uk. Forgotten Sons Apparel is a York-based streetwear brand drawing inspiration from alternative culture, tattoos, film, classic TV and cartoons from our childhood. In our own words, if you like our stuff half as much as we do, then we like it twice as much as you. I'm a big fan of this brand and I love the guys who make it. They've supported me for years, way before I was podcasting. They supported me in my battle rap career. You might have seen me rocking some of their garms on Don't Flop and other leagues. I love Forgotten Sons Apparel and I'm urging you all to check them out at ForgottenSonsApparel.co.uk. Right, now on with the show. Okay, yes, back with another one. We was off for a week, but we're back now, and I'd like to welcome to the sofa Dave Wain.
Hello.
How's it going? Well, writer, film critic,
Got about town?
Yep, podcaster, and owner of the only, I believe it's the only surviving brick and mortar video rental shop in the UK.
Two.
Oh, is it?
Left. Yeah. So, but yeah, you can say like Northwest and
Yeah. Oh, yeah, repping for the Northwest. We're always fully repping here. Yeah, repping the bits. So, do you want to tell us a bit of? We'll get straight into it. Do you want to tell us a bit about the background of the shop and how you got involved with that and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean it's not particularly wild. I mean, we're going back to like '95.
Oh yes.
You remember it well, clearly.
Oh yeah. I was around. The grunge era, just about getting served in pubs.
Just about.
Yeah, not reputable pubs, but pubs nonetheless.
And yeah, we like my family had a business, but it wasn't doing very well. And like the guy next door did VHS, like he rented videos.
Oh yeah.
He was a butcher. Yeah.
Was he renting them from the butchers?
Correct. It was a video butcher. That was his sign. It was like video butcher. And like you used to like go on like, and rent Poltergeist 3, and you'd take home and you'd open the VHS case, and it would smell of like sausage. So it was really unique.
Wow.
You know, just that odor, you can't replicate it today. So yeah. Anyway, this guy, he'd had like his video butcher for 20 years, whatever, and he was retiring. So like we thought, well, let's buy his stock of films and let's give it a go, because like '95, it was the heyday.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And like, I was a teenager at the time, like went off to college and all that sort of thing. And yeah, just came back and thought, well, you know, I've got a degree, so why not sit on my arse and serve people with VHS?
Is right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty amazing that you're still managing to keep that running through to this day, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's business isn't wild like it was 20 years ago, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's just like convincing people to leave the house, which isn't easy. Because people are lazy by nature, and they don't want to leave the house. And, you know, what I'm finding more and more is that people, you know, they're content with what they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah? You know, you turn on your Netflix, you turn on your Prime, you turn on your Apple TV, and they're all right with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, nah, that'll do me. And they don't want to make the effort to go into somewhere and maybe see something, I don't know, weird and crazy. But it's a bit scary, because you think, well, are we growing up with a generation of kids that aren't going to discover like wild films anymore?
Yeah, they're like utterly guided by algorithms. I mean, this is it. Like, even some stuff on streaming services, you're just never going to find unless it's recommended to you. Yeah.
But that's the thing, because like I always say to people, like, if you walk into the video store, it's anti-algorithm.
Yeah.
In that, you know, you have Evil Bong sitting next door to Citizen Kane, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have that. You know, if you go onto Netflix and you watched Evil Bong, if it was on there, they wouldn't say, hey, you've seen Evil Bong, why not try Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen.
This is it, like, there's that element of chaos, which is, I mean, like, everything I like about films, I like that element of chaos. I like chaotic films, I like chaotic film selections, I like hearing about chaos when films were made. Just, I love that chaos. I don't want it to all be simple and all locked down like that.
No.
Yeah.
You need that for your own brain.
Yeah.
This boring kind of algorithm, this predictable way of like consuming our entertainment. So it's not good for us, you know. We need to take chances. I get people coming in now and like they'll browse the new releases, but they'll be glued to their phone and to IMDb because they have to be sure that it's above a 7 on IMDb. And don't take the shackles off. Rent a 3.6. You'll feel better for it.
This is it. There's like a lot. I'm big on Letterboxd. Letterboxd.com/Kinell. Follow me there. And I often find like a lot of the films that I'm into, I'm the only review that's like 3 stars or above, like on some of them, like, and I've had thousands of reviews, like.
Sure. But it's cool. Yeah, you know, like I say, people are very, they're very conscious of other people's opinions.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I don't know whether it's some kind of peer pressure, but
it's kind of a post-social media thing, isn't it? Like,
I think so. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Because, you know, people do tend to be afraid. There's always a caveat. So if someone puts on social media, like, I'm watching The Ginger Dead Man, they don't follow that up with, because I really like it. They put it up with the caveat of, yeah, it's really crap, but hey, I'm just going to watch it. Yeah. You know, there's always the caveat of, you know, I know this isn't very good, and apologies to all the people.
This is it, man. This is it. The whole concept of guilty pleasures it's I think it's a comparatively recent one, like, but you know, it was something like maybe I was guilty of, like maybe with music when I was growing up, when I'd dismiss popular music and that kind of thing. But you know, like films are like a much more personal experience in my opinion, like, and. That's it, like, that's what kind of, like, drew me to, like, I originally became aware of you through the Schlock and Awe podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And, what drew me to that was, it was when you were talking about, mainly direct-to-video creature features. And you were talking about them with a genuine enthusiasm, which is, like, what appeals to me, because... Like, there are films that I think are so bad it's good, but to be honest, a lot of the things that people put in that category, I just think they're good.
Yeah, that's true, but that's what that's the whole basis for our website, which is schlockpit.com, in that, you know, we're trying to give a home to films that are ignored, that kind of thing, because they've never been written about, they've never been spoken about with any degree of admiration and love and passion.
Yeah,
it's always like whenever people, you know, talk about or review or write about stuff that is on our website, it's like some kind of you know, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
Where they're just continually trying to take the piss out of it, and that's offensive to us, because, you know, no one sets out to make a bad film, and even if it isn't, you know, the greatest film in the world, there's still a story behind it. So that's the reason we're doing, you know, our book, Schlock and Awe, which is about these films. And we're speaking to so many writers and directors and actors and producers. We're trying to find out their history. So we're forming like a chart of a history, a timeline to all these amazing films.
Yeah, there hasn't really been, like, you know, that much deep dive and research into it. Like, I mean, like, you really do, like, go, like... probably deeper than any critics I've ever witnessed into these, what should we call it, like, so some of these things, like, I mean, we've already mentioned, like, several, what should we call it, Full Moon franchises already, like.
But you know, no one's doing that.
Yeah.
Why aren't they doing it? You know, why are they doing? Why aren't they seeing the admiration to be had in these films? We can't fathom, you know, we always, like, get together and we talk about, you know, you kind of, whenever you do something, especially in like, today's society with social media and people kind of replicating a trendsetter. If somebody does something, you know, if you do a specific style of battle rap, you know that inside a short period of time, someone could easily copy or pay homage to what you're doing.
This is a common thing that happens. There are definite trends, like.
Yeah, but when we started out, we thought, well, we're bound to get people doing similar kind of things to us inside no time at all. Yeah. But you know, we're 8 or 9 years in, and no one is doing it, and it's weird. You kind of expect people, you know, kind of expect an article somewhere on like one of Fred Olen Ray's films or one of Jim Wynorski's films or one of David Dakota's films. You know, it's doing something similar,
but you just don't find it.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird.
Like, all three of those are like fascinating characters in their own ways. Like, you know, people like them and Albert Pune, like
absolutely.
I've got to get. I think there's a book about Albert Pune. I haven't got that yet.
There is,
like,
by Justin DeClue. Yeah. It's a cool book. Justin's a nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, some of these people have like particularly wild histories. David Dakota, like you just mentioned there. Like, I mean, like recently he's put out like about like 37 of the same softcore gay porn horror movies. Like, and he's making a living out of it. Like,
absolutely, he shoots them in 3, 4, sometimes one day.
Yeah,
and you know. These streaming sites, they want content, so they're happy to commission him to make a film, and it's fascinating. Right now, he's doing all these movies for the Hallmark Channel, all these Wrong films. You heard of the Wrong franchise?
No.
I think there's 23 different Wrong films. The Wrong Fiance, the Wrong Sailboat Captain, the Wrong Cheerleader, the Wrong... So,
I remember like some interview I read with Joe Bob Briggs.
Oh yeah,
when they were talking about does the exploitation movie exist in any real sense in the current time, and he said the Hallmark Channel, Hallmark original movies, that is exploitation cinema.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they are. I mean, the irony is, all the people that were making exploitation films to a degree in the 80s and 90s, like Fredo and Ray, and like David Dakota, and to a degree Sam Irvin, they're the people making films for Hallmark now.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a real commonality with those things.
I mean, that's it, like, because these are the people that can, like, turn over a film in less than a week. And when you've got a TV channel that needs constant content and wanting feature-length content and all, like, you know, scripted feature-length content, turning that over, like, multiple times a year in a short... The only people that can do it are the people from the background of straight-to-video erotic thrillers and these sorts of things. Like,
it's a safe pair of hands, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the budgets on these things are so slim that it has to be right.
Yeah.
They can't afford to, you know, step over budget or nothing like that. So, yeah, safe pair of hands.
Yeah. Like Wynorski you mentioned and all there, like he's like I remember him saying, like, you know, is something like his average turnover time for an erotic thriller was something like 11 days or something.
Yeah, his new one is out this coming Friday, 29th, which is Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, which is up on Full Moon Streaming. And again, it was one of those that I think they shot over 3 days, like last month, and already it's ready to go, which is crazy when you think about some like the greatest films of all time, like in production for years. It's weird to think the turnaround is so quick.
Yeah, Full Moon are like quite remarkable with it. Like I mean, like literally, we had Lockdown 1, and Charles Band was already in production with Corona Zombies, like, and that was like in the really early stages of Lockdown 1. People thought it was a joke thing, but like no, made the poster, made the film, like and
you did something on them, didn't you?
That was the original thing that I started like the original manifestation of Kinell Sinister Cinema, or the KSC as it's now known, because I need better branding for this, mate. I'm telling you, like. Please flip and subscribe to the YouTube. I need the numbers. But yeah, originally, like, I just needed something to do because it was the first time I hadn't had some form of gig to prepare for in, like, my adult life. And so I started, like, just doing a YouTube channel with my phone and, like, talking about this Corona Zombies film and flipping. I think it was like it used a lot of footage from Hell of the Living Dead, but like there was original content to it, and it was just like flipping Charles Band, one camera and two women.
I interviewed the two writers of the movie. We did a big piece on the Schlock pit for it.
Yeah,
and it's still our most read article.
Yeah,
like we've done 600 articles, and that's the most read article with thousands of hits. And we got so much grief for it, you know. Especially, I think I forget the guy's name. He's one of the main sort of influencers in the horror business. Squires, is it? Something like that. Yeah, he was really, he trashed it completely because he said it was insensitive. But, you know, you've got to, you know,
This is it, but that's what exploitation cinema is. You've got to say the things that no one else will say. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I'd say another good example of a recent like film that's like true exploitation cinema, in terms of the spirit of what it stands for, would be The Scary of 61st.
Oh, right, okay. No, I've not seen that.
Yeah, I believe it's on Shudder at the minute. Like,
right.
I came across it on it was part of the Soho Horror Film Festival.
Right, okay.
Like, shout out Mitch, and that does involve, and like. That's a very interesting film that I urge anyone to check out. Like, it's made by, I can't remember the name because it's like a really complicated Russian name, Dasha something. She's in Succession. She's also known for a left-wing podcast called, a sort of borderline comedy left-wing podcast called Red Scare, like out of Brooklyn. And this film, The Scary of 61st, this concerns two girls who are like move into a flat that was owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And in the film, like, you know, they make a lot of references. Like, at the point it was made, it was like prior to the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
And they actually use some of the footage, when like someone sent a drone over Little St. James Island, like,
right,
and like they put that footage out there. They've got that footage in the movie, and they are not shy about explicitly talking about Prince Andrew's involvement in it, and they're making it in the form of a fictional film, but it's referencing a lot of like current real life stuff. Like, now, I mean, like, this is like. And some people who can't get on board with it, like, because they say it's too soon, but it's like. This, to me, is the true spirit of independent cinema, being able to flip and say something like that no one else will say. This is something that'll have that maybe Hollywood will touch on in maybe a decade, and even then it'll be like, you know, yeah. But this is actually, but you know, regardless of what people think about these films, this is talking about something relevant at the time while it is still relevant, and I think that's something that exploitation cinema can do. That. Like, I mean, like, a lot of the stuff they talk about this in films, like, people have been pulled off YouTube for, saying similar things in regular videos, but you can say it as art. And, you know, they were saying those things in videos, and some of it would later turn out to be true. And also that, another one, like, would be, like, while we're on the subject, there's another film that's out recently. I don't think it was also on the Soho Horror Film Festival. I know you can rent it. I know you can rent it with a VPN, but I don't know if it's actually being distributed in the UK yet. Called the Pizzagate Massacre. All right. Which is like basically a fictionalized version of like what was going on with QAnon and like the initial when they were convinced there was Illuminati lizards like drinking brain fluid from children and all this like, and. It's sort of the main character in it's like one of the illegitimate children of David Koresh, who's been like taken in by this sort of like libertarian far right militia. Yeah. And you know, he sort of genuinely believes this, and it's like, are these things true? Are they not? And there's this woman who's kind of like, I believe her character's kind of like a composite of Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's a pretty frightening concept.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. But like that's a very interesting setup for a movie. And again, you know, it's like I think that it was actually 2020 they got it out, like, or they made it. But it was released last year, certainly. Right. And again, like independent cinema is one of the only places you can talk about these issues. Like, so.
Yeah, but it's important. You don't want that. You don't want that kind of controversy to be eradicated from that. You know, that's what independent cinema is about. You know, the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way through. It just you worry about that because it's like. I remember when Neil Young brought his album out, Living with War, going back a decade ago. Yeah. But he said there's no more protest albums because like musicians have really gone towards like just being pleasing everybody and not wanting to sort of create any controversy. And you could say the same about film because there's very few films kind of pushing that envelope, and it's important to do that. It's with all art. That's what art's about, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Like flipping. There should always be mainstream stuff for everyone. There should always be stuff for families. There should always be stuff to make things happy. But there also needs to be a bit of fuck you in the world.
Absolutely.
And fucking that's what I appreciate. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay. With that in mind, are there any kind of like films along those lines, like recently, that have kind of caught your eye?
No, because I just haven't been watching anything recent, to be honest. You know, we've got this deadline for our book, which is in
that's
middle of the year. So we're fighting to do that. We've got 3 commentaries on the moment, another one from 88 Films. So we're kind of like knee deep in research for those. So it's weird. You kind of go through periods where you don't see anything new.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the opposite to the way I used to do things like 10, 15 years ago, where I kind of make it my priority to see every brand new release because it was important for the business. But now I kind of just screw people, let them pick something themselves.
Yeah.
So really it's just been a case of stuff that I need to get done, stuff that I need to research and things like that. So
yeah. So is it all? We'll find out about that sort of thing when it's released and all that kind of thing, or
which is that the commentaries? Or
yeah.
They haven't been announced yet. I thought the 88 announced 3 months worth of films yesterday, which were July, August, and September. And these 3 films weren't there, so that's good because we've got more time.
Yeah.
Because we're way behind. So it looks like these films will be coming out the end quarter. But yeah, there's it's great. They're a great company. You know, I sometimes say to people that we have so much freedom, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like the work we do with Arrow, it's a lot more rigid. You kind of get an email to say, you know, would you be interested in doing this?
Yeah.
And it's kind of very, very formal, which is good. You know, it's very professional.
Yeah, there's definitely a different kind of energy to the releases, isn't it? Like,
yeah. But with ATA, they just sort of sent us a spreadsheet of films that are coming out this year. And like, do you want to pick a couple?
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that. It's a 2 very different companies, but doing the same thing. But it's cool that they've got that different approach. Yeah. Some people find it really frustrating because you know, ATA are literally 2 guys in an office.
Yeah.
What Arrow is just this whole huge behemoth of a machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's a similar product, which is fun.
Ah, yeah. Flipping. It's interesting. Like, I think, 88, like 10. I always have to stay on top of their release schedule because, like, sometimes they'll pick up something like that's or like 101 or something. Or pick up like a Vinegar Syndrome release that I'm just about to spend a huge amount of money on importing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I love Vinegar Syndrome so much, but since this whole Brexit bollocks and just the cost of their films now and import cost is just insane. So I just don't have the cash to do that. So I'm pretty much like, I will buy from Vinegar Syndrome in May and November.
Yeah.
Their Black Friday sale in November.
Yeah.
Halfway to Black Friday sale in May. Yeah. And that's it. Because, you know, I can justify spending, what is it, about 16, 17 quid on a Blu-ray just at a push.
Yeah.
But I can't justify spending like 25, 26 quid on a film. It's just, it's all economics. You know, people with vast disposable incomes, I guess. Like, because there are people.
I think you either need vast disposable incomes or very specific tastes.
Yeah, but you know, that's the thing that baffles us. I mean, there are people, because an interesting discussion had to be had about labels.
Yeah.
You know, are people kind of whores to labels?
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of people on social media buying everything from one label. I'm like, well, hang on, are you buying that because you like the film, or are you buying that because you're into the label and you need that whole labels releases? I don't know.
It can go 2 ways. I mean, like, I've had similar things, like, you know, when I collected records or whatever.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like, flipping, you know, you are trying to, you know, you just want a big row of A's at the on the top of your shelf. But other times, it's also worth noting that, like, you know, some labels very much have a brand, very much have a style of film they're releasing, and it's often like right up my street, like. And like that's why like most new Blu-rays I buy will tend to be like Arrow or 88.
Yeah,
I've got more 88 than Arrow. Like
right.
Like I think I bought a Blu-ray player like a couple of years ago specifically to buy Arrow releases, and then I started picking up a couple of 88, and 88 kind of took over as
yeah.
You know, but it was because the films they were releasing were films that I wanted, like.
Yeah. So you've attempted to make the leap into 4K? Because I think 88 got their first 4K film coming out in July, Drive, with Mark Dacascos.
I'm looking at flipping, like, I have been pricing them up.
Have you?
Yeah, flipping. Because obviously I'm going to need a region 3 one, like. But, like, I was thinking, like, can I really justify it? But, like, yesterday I got an email from, like, I've had an ongoing claim with, a loan company I've had a dispute with, and found out that I'm going to have a bunch of cash landing fairly soon. And most of it's already accounted for because Man's broke, and Man's got to go away and watch 9 Inch Nails in Cornwall in the summer.
Very nice.
But there's going to be a bit left over, so I think I might look at a 4K player.
I don't know. I'm still on the line. It's like we kind of have this discussion. And we think, well, how many David Dakota films are going to end up in 4K?
Yeah.
So how many of the films that we write about are going to end up in 4K? I don't. I don't.
The thing that
Jaws is great.
Yeah.
I'm sure it looks great in 4K, but I don't think I'm going to watch Jaws like 10 times before I die to justify the cost of buying a Jaws 4K. I don't know. Same with most mainstream films. I don't. You kind of get to an age where you think, well, I'm going to be dead in probably 25 years. How many times am I going to watch that before I die?
Yeah, I think I just want the capacity for it. Like, I think like the thing that kind of tipped me over the edge yesterday was I was just like scrolling Amazon.
Yeah.
I saw like a German release, I think it was, but it's all English. Like, but it's John Carpenter. It's like all the Ultra 4K transfers of Escape from New York, They Live, The Fog, and another one from around that era. Like, and it's like they weren't big on extras, but these are like films that I've got like DVDs and loads of extras on anyway. But it's like the Ultra 4K transfers of all 4 of them for like 40 odd quid. I thought, I think I could justify that. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's tricky being a collector. You kind of need to make some tough decisions.
That's it. Like, I can't just like, I don't know how many more times I can buy the thing, and I always will. But
that's the thing, though. We were speaking to like some guys last night, or night before last rather, who run this collecting podcast. Nice people. Yeah. But they're talking about like the Criterion slate and stuff like that, and I think Raging Bull is going up to 4K later this year. Yeah, which is cool. It's an unbelievable film. But you kind of think, well, if I got the Blu-ray, like what are the what's the criteria for upgrading? Is it to do with because it's I've got the Blu-ray, so I must therefore upscale to 4K, or is it down to how much you love the film? I don't know.
Yeah, like it depends a lot on what the package is like and all this kind of thing. Because ultimately, like, flipping, if it's got all the extras you want, and like a lot of the films that are like old films that are being released on Blu-ray already look better than they originally did, because obviously you could always upscale. Of course. Yeah, but like digital things, you'll never be able to upscale. Like, so, like I mean, like I think is it like I mentioned on the last one when I was talking to. I was talking to Kelly Betts, like Tron Legacy's filmed in 1080p, and like flipping, like that camera over there is like the raw footage of that. It won't be after I've edited it, but the raw footage of that's like flipping better quality than Tron Legacy, and they'll never be able to upscale it. Whereas Tron's probably already been upscaled to Ultra 4K and probably already looks better than the film that was made 40 years afterwards. Like,
yeah. You've really got to have your thing on the pulse. It's such a complex thing collecting. It used to be easy, but
it's ultimately you just have to like flip and just go for the stuff you like. I mean, like there's certain things that I'm just going to buy on site if they ever upgrade it. Like Like, I don't think there's a good Blu-ray of the Nicolas Cage, The Wicker Man.
Oh, okay.
But like, I'll pick it. But I'm happy with my £1 purchase of a CEX director's cut. Like,
yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, but I love that film so much.
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
Yeah,
I've only seen it once because it kind of gets a bit of a bad rap, doesn't it? But maybe with this whole sort of Nicolas Cage renaissance, then people might look at that movie again. Maybe
it really is like it's like. It's a Nicolas Cage fan if you just want to watch it. It's more for Nicolas Cage fans and fans of The Wicker Man.
Right.
Like I very much enjoy that movie. It's almost a comfort watch at this stage. I've watched it 3 times this year.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Wow, that's insane. That's good though. That's good.
Yeah. So and like I think it's like with this. I think we're going to see like a lot of re-releases, like in light of his new movie coming out, which features references to it. Like that's gonna. I think the cult following of that film and certain other ones like Vampire's Kiss. I think we're going to be seeing like reissues of them and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think there's anyone else that could sort of do that with their career apart from Nicolas Cage? Do you think anyone's got it in it? Got that in them? I don't think there is. I think he's such a sort of iconic character, kind of just a wild-eyed maniac. I don't think there's anyone else that could really. I
think the only one who could have done it maybe is Jeff Goldblum, but he can't. But I don't think he could do it if he's just doing like Jurassic Park films. I think he needs to like get involved in something a bit more independent and crazy.
Yeah.
He needs to do a film with Spectravision or like even a bit of A24 business.
You reckon?
Yeah. But he needs to get involved with something a bit because like he's kind of become a brand as like. A weird guy, like, but he's being the Jurassic Park weird guy. You need flipping spread your wings, get a bit more independent with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's the only one I could think potential. But like, the fact that Nicolas Cage can now like put out a successful film just about him being Nicolas Cage and like it having running jokes that he's just done lots of mad films as references to the Wicker Man in it, like.
Genius.
Yeah.
He's genius. But I think that's one of the great aspects of his personality.
Yeah,
he's very
true.
aware of, I think, his reputation.
Yeah. So, you're very much a man of the deep cuts, like. So, if I could sling a genre or two at you,
right?
Maybe hit me with a couple of deep cuts. Say I was looking for something in the. Say I was looking for a RoboCop rip-off. What would you direct me to?
RoboCop rip-off. Well, we love loads of like cyborg films from the 90s.
Yes.
Especially, well, I know one of Matty's favourites, and one that he introduced me to a few years ago. It's a series called Project Shadow Chaser. You ever heard of it?
No, is that anything to do with Project Metal Beast, or is that unrelated?
Similar era.
Yeah.
They're released within a year of each other. But no, Project Shadow Chaser is I mean, it's not necessarily RoboCop orientated, but it's the whole cyborg.
Yeah. There was a lot of those kind of things going on around then.
It's just the quality, especially for the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
They're directed by a guy called John Ayres, Eyres, who's a Brit from Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
But he moved over to, I think he's living in Canada now. Fascinating career. We did one of his commentaries for a company called Culture Shock Releasing on his debut film, which was Good Night, God Bless. So Project Shadow, it's not, you can't watch it anywhere. So like, it's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
Whereas, you can't watch it, but great recommendation. But it's amazing. It's just the first 3 movies are absolutely fantastic. The 4th movie was decent, but if you ever get a chance to watch Project Shadow Chaser.
Yeah, so these DTV, they must have done like pretty well in that circumstance. Like, I mean, would this be at the back end of like the sort of Canucksploitation era?
To a degree, Shadow Chaser was 94.
Yeah.
Canucksploitation, I don't know. I mean, you can still get a little bit of Canucksploitation today.
Yeah.
But I think the most of Canucksploitation sort of dried up, and I think it mainly arose because of the tax breaks. You'd have a great tax break.
That's what it was, wasn't it? Effectively, like, if you could make any film completed and released in Canada, like flipping the tax breaks you could get for it, like you could very easily turn something like not only profitable but maybe launder a bit of money while you're at it.
Without doubt. I mean, that was so prevalent at the time. They were doing it in so many different films. Just the weirdest kind of cowboys were coming in to sort of make films in Canada. Because we did Terror Train for 8 years as a first commentary.
Yeah.
Really did
I've got that release. It's a good release.
Good release. We did go deeply into the whole tax break system. And it tried to burn about 83, 84. But over that period, 75 to 84, they made a lot of films. And a lot of them are absolutely awful. And you think, well, why did they make those? Well, we know why they made them.
I mean, like, there's what should we call it? All sorts of... I think money laundering and just trying to scam things has produced a lot of like quite interesting cinema. Like,
well, I was just going to say, sorry, just to interrupt. When we've been writing Schlock and Awe, the amount of people we've spoken to say, well, do you know where your film is now, or like what happened to the film? Why haven't we seen it since? Yeah. And they're like, well, like the mafia funded it.
Yeah.
So we've got no idea where it is.
Yeah.
So that's an example of just the sheer. Because it was such an easy business to turn a profit, especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
So the amount of people that were coming in from outside that just wanted to get a few quid out of it was spectacular. Sorry, you were going to say.
Yeah, there's one thing that I recently rewatched Albert Pune film, Urban Menace.
Oh, yeah, I've not seen those. There was 3, wasn't there? 3 sort of urban films that you did.
Yeah, with like Snoop Dogg, Big Pun, and Ice-T and that. Yeah. And like they were shot in Slovenia for whatever reason. And like they had all these rappers in, and it was kind of like produced by Ice-T, and Ice-T's album that was out at the time was like provided the soundtrack to a lot of them, so they were getting a lot of the money back off that. Yeah. So I think they were making the films just to be on the soundtrack, and they were quite shonkily put together. It's like I believe it was originally supposed to be a compilation, like a anthology of like 3 short films.
Which one was this?
Urban Menace was the one that I recently rewatched.
There was Wrecking Crew and Corrupt, wasn't it? That was the 3 that he did. Right.
Yeah. It was originally supposed to be an anthology, and they said, no, we're going to make 3 films completely in this one go, and they didn't write any more script. They just tried to put them together. They just tried to freestyle it, and there was all sorts of things like around this time. Snoop, who did work with Albert Pune a lot, he didn't tend to be on the set much, because I don't know if you know this about Snoop Dogg, likes a bit of weed. Not the most reliable of people on this, so like there'd be a lot of very early like photoshopping his head onto a body double and that, and I think like for these films he was just on set for 1 day, so in these films like a lot of what he's doing is just peering round corners and looking at people but they get his name in the film. And I believe what happened was, like, they managed to, like, a lot of the footage when it was being shipped got completely damaged.
Oh, really?
But Albert Pune, being Albert Pune, decided to piece together these films regardless with the VHS scans of the dailies of the thing, and just piece it together and like just try to use so much stylization and effects And this is stuff that's aged very badly, but at the time it wasn't great. Let me be very clear on that. He managed to put together 3 feature films out of like 1 film's worth of script. And
crazy, because Matty is such a huge Albert Pune fan, and he sent me these 3 films about 6 years ago. Yeah, and I've never watched them. You haven't really convinced me to watch them, to be honest. But maybe one day, because it was funny, because like in that period, 1999, 2000, you had this wave of urban movies. Yeah. Which was bizarre. And it was all like, well, take Charlie Band, he made a couple. There was Killjoy. The Vault and Horrible Dr. Bones and Ragdoll. And it's like, crazy that especially...
Yeah, there was a sudden movement for it. There's always been this kind of like interesting alignment between like even going so far as like hip hop culture and like horror. Like it was particularly at the back end of the 90s. You had to have like you'd have to have like hip hop on the soundtrack of your. You'd have to have hip hop on the soundtrack of your horror film, like all the big franchise ones. Like Freddy had to have like Houdini and all this kind of thing on the soundtrack. And there was always that connection, but I think like the studios like. They were making these white films that they wanted to sell to a black audience, and that they were struggling to figure out like how to really get it to align. And I've talked about this a lot. My favourite Vinegar Syndrome release, which no one's picked up in the UK, and I can talk about all day, is a film called The Fear.
Oh yeah.
The one with Morty the doll and all that. Like the Vinegar Syndrome release is really great on it, but I think like one of the last videos I did in my in the early incarnation of Kinell Sinister Cinema was like I did kind of a Blu-ray review of it, and I just ran for about half an hour about horrorcore hip hop. Horrorcore hip hop, big influence on me as a rapper. It was something I got into as a kid, like and like you know. Like it's something that occurs in battle rap a lot, you know, you try to say like nasty things and all that. But the idea of horrorcore rap, which kind of like probably started with the Ghetto Boys in Texas and things with like mind playing tricks on me and all this, it kind of really came into its own in the early 90s. And that's when you had things like the RZA and Prince Paul doing the Grave Diggers and all this, like, and we had like really scary horror movie influenced rap coming out, and at this time, like, but this, you know, at the time, slashers are dying out, like,
very much,
and I think like The Fear is very much at the tail end of like. The original slasher boom is a slasher fizzle at this point, and we're only a year out of the whole thing getting rebooted with Scream.
And of course, Wes Craven is in The Fear.
Yeah,
ironically.
Yeah, but what you call it? That was the only film that really did horrorcore hip hop.
Right.
On the soundtrack, like, and it, like I've still got the original soundtrack on CD. Like, it's fantastic. The artists on it, it's like the track list's incredible. It's people like the Grave Diggers, Lil Half Dead, all these kind of things. And noticeably, like the title song's done by this guy called Esham,
right?
He was a Detroit rapper. His style was described as like acid rap, and it's like he was like one of the primary influences on Eminem.
Yeah. So
like without Esham, you don't really have Eminem emerging in like the latter half of the 90s. So because again, he's very much from that horrorcore school,
right?
Or like he certainly was, like, you know, in the Infinite era, the Slim Shady era, starts like moving out of it, and like when we get to Stan and all that, and then it becomes pop and drugs and all that, But like there's this definite like horrorcore thread that follows through. Like I always thought horrorcore was like just the perfect music for slasher movies, but there was only one slasher movie that ever did it. Because 1996 we get the reboot with Scream, and then it becomes about college rock, and we got people from Dawson's Creek in all these new generation of slashers. We got Dawson's Creek Party of Five people, and we're playing like American commercial friendly radio rock as the soundtracks of these things. So then we kind of like missed the whole horrorcore era. And we've had other things like I think a lot of the franchises have all had their phases of like trying to go to the hood. I mean, like
you know, look at Leprechaun and stuff like that. I guess that's obviously the most obvious thing.
Yeah, that's the obvious one because it's in the title. I think like what you call it, Children of the Corn tried it quite early on and all. Urban Harvest. That is not how I imagined an Amish versus black basketball game to go. Like, like, you know, it didn't go the way I'd expect. But yeah, like, you know, that was an interesting one. Like that, like I think the connection between hip hop and horror is something that, like, maybe only Charlie Band really managed to.
I don't know. It's just like, you know, they're a bit rough. You know, those 4 or 5.
They were low budget, but they were
and it is a bit, you know, it's not. it's not the greatest genesis of those films for like a rich white man to be producing them.
Yeah, but he was hiring people.
There were a number of black people involved, like Killjoy. We spoke to the guy who wrote it.
Yeah,
a guy called Carl Washington.
Yeah,
and he was black, and he obviously had a great deal of impact on the script. But yeah, so yeah, you're right, because I mean, I interviewed a director the other day about one of his films, which is called 2 Shades of Blue. Black writer. And he said, when they shot it in, I think, 97, 98, although he was a black writer and although they were desperate for his script, they had no crew. Black, the director was white. Everyone involved in the film was white. He even tried to get some of his friends who were involved in like the crew kind of stuff, but they said no. So it was weird, and that's 25 years ago. That's 25 years ago. Now you've got a black writer, they paid a fortune for his script, but they won't diversify with the crew, and it's crazy. You look back 25 years, you think, oh, it must have been fairly similar to now 25 years ago, but it wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, this is it. Like, you've got to kind of like, just have it. It's not just, the page and what's in front of the camera. Like, you do need your diversification needs to go further than that, because everyone's involved in telling the story. And, and if you're telling a story that's specific to the black experience, or, those are the people who should be telling the story, really. And, like, at least Charles Band knew, like, right, I want to make films for black people. I'll get black crew in. I'll buy in the brains, get the people who know how to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
If I want to make a gay frat house movie with a ghost in it, I'll get David Dakota. Oh, you.
He was horrified though. It's like the first movie that David Dakota made that was very. I mean, you can see a lot of because some of the like early films that David Dakota made for Full Moon, stuff like Totem, even Witch House, Talisman, Prison of the Dead, they had kind of homoerotica in them. But his first like proper homoerotic film that he did for Full Moon was a film called Voodoo Academy, which you got to try and watch because it's crazy. And Charles Band was absolutely horrified when David Dakota sent in the final cut. I think he insisted on trimming it quite a bit. But
yeah. Well, like David Dakota was, because I mean, like, flipping a lot of Full Moon films, they're like tits and ass films, like, so I think David Dakota was like, okay, we're gonna have the lads' asses in here as well, like, we're going that way with it.
Absolutely.
And I respect that, man. Let's get everyone fucking naked. Not in this studio now. It's not my couch, but yeah, Full Moon's fascinating. Like, I watch a lot of Full Moon films on it. Like, I had a subscription to the app for a bit, like. Yeah. Incredibly deep back catalogue, but I think like most of them are on like Tubi as well.
Yeah.
Which is I use that with a VPN, like.
Yeah, likewise.
So yeah, I do like the odd deep dive into them. I think like I've noticed that they're sneaking over on Shudder. Like, I think Shudder are kind of testing the waters. Like, they got the first subspecies thing up there. They got first 3 Puppet Masters up there lately.
Yeah, I don't use it. It's like I'm throwing away a $5 a month on that. And I barely use it.
Shudder.
I mean, there's some good stuff on it. Some of the originals are decent, but I don't think that there's nothing so far that's really sort of made it to be like a regular part of my weekly viewing experience. It's just like it's decent. I've got nothing bad to say about it, but I wouldn't say that it necessarily fits what I'm after.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do Shudder, you've got to rock Shudder with a VPN, though. Like, it's a very different experience. I'd say, like, my main 2 streaming services, and I've got a bunch of them, I'll tend to hit up Arrow, like, once a month, because they tend to, like, just drop a load of stuff at once that I want to check. And other than that, it's Tubi and Shudder.
Yeah, I haven't got a bad word to say about Tubi. Yeah. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The stuff they have. Obviously, it's like you've got to. It's like the thing obviously that's happened with Twitter this week. This week with that fella buying it.
Yeah.
Kind of it sours the experience a bit when you know who owns it. But then, you watch Tubi and it's owned by Fox.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, well, that's not great either, to be honest. But, that's where we're going.
Yeah, I think
all the major media corporations will be owned by right-wing morons.
Yeah, I think you've kind of got to accept that, like, the only difference between the owners is, like, some of them are horrible bastards, and some of them you haven't found out they're horrible bastards yet. Like, basically, if you've got, like, the kind of, like, billions that you need to be running the media empire, you probably didn't flipping get it by helping old ladies across the street, did you?
No.
Yeah. Very much one of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But as long as the art is there, as long as, like, the original movies are there, then who really gives a shit who owns it? Because as long as they're providing access, then that's fine. But as I say, if you don't want right-wing crazies to own your movies, then buy them yourself and own them yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way. Like, that's what drove me back to, like, physical media. Like, I think one thing that, like, certainly drove me back to physical media is finding out that things disappear off streaming services. Like, because, I mean, even to, there's a lot of talk about, like, taking away certain episodes because the themes aren't acceptable anymore. But what really, it's not even about censorship. It's just that everything you see on a streaming service is on a temporary license that will run out unless someone, unless it's renewed. So,
like that well-known story about Apple, I think. Wasn't it a guy who bought, a couple of hundred movies from Apple for downloaded them.
Yeah.
He bought them to own.
Yeah.
When he changed computers and when he transferred his library onto his new computer, I think he said like 8 or 9 had gone missing.
Yeah.
And then when he wrote to Apple to ask like why they were missing, they're like, well, that's the deal.
Yeah.
You may have bought them, but you don't own them.
Yeah,
It's just nuts.
It's a similar kind of thing with Amazon as well, like, but I mean, like, this comes back to the whole rental thing. Like, I mean, like, it tends to be like the licenses are like 12 months to 24 months, and they tend to go on seasonally appropriate times of the year.
Yeah.
So, like, the start of last October, Netflix added Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the original 80s ones. And if that's like a 12-month license, then that means that they're going to disappear in October exactly when you're going to want to watch them.
Yeah. But just the idea about a 12-month license, it's baffling to me. I don't understand how people can be at the mercy of those corporations.
Yeah.
I'd rather, I mean, I get people, it's the worst part of the job to a degree, and that you get people. I live right by a recycling center. Yeah. Or a dump.
Yeah.
I live right by a dump, and like people call in on the way to it, and I'm like, look, I'm just about to tip all my 300 movie collection.
Yeah.
Do you want it? I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you look through it, and the stuff that's either been deleted, and you think, well, yeah, I want to preserve that in the shop.
Yeah.
Or you think, well, it's crazy. I just like they don't want it because they don't want the clutter.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense because they will want to watch a movie in inside 2-3 years, and they'll think, oh, yeah, let's go back and watch, I don't know, Born, whatever. Yeah. And it won't be anywhere. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, we used to have that on DVD, but we binned it because we wanted a minimalistic lounge. It's just, come on.
Oh, my lounge has gotten increasingly chaotic in the last couple of years since it purchased a Blu-ray player.
As you began saying, we like chaos. Chaos rules.
Yeah. Chaos reigns. Yeah, I mean, like, and also, like, you don't know all the other factors that can contribute to something completely disappearing forever. And the thing that's been annoying me lately is, like, he's a controversial figure because of wanking with what he thought was consent, but they weren't comfortable in front of several female comedians. Louis C.K. Yeah, real talk, flipping bad behaviour, but I still think he's the GOAT comedically. Now, his series is owned by Fox.
All right.
Like the Louis C.K. series, there was 5 seasons of it. Yeah. Incredible, some of the best comedy television.
Was that the show where he went to the doctors? You had Ricky Gervais giving him an examination.
Yeah. He had some amazing guest stars on it. There's a really interesting episode, which is with Robin Williams.
Right.
And it's where Louis C.K. and Robin meet up at the funeral of like a comedian that no one particularly liked, but they just thought someone had to be there. There's this big rumination of death on like you know, as one of the last things that Robin Williams did. Like, so there's a lot of historical importance to this episode, and it's fantastic. It's because it was very bittersweet, powerful, comedic, flipping episode. Like one of the best half hours of TV I've ever seen in my life. But will it ever be available again? Like, I mean, like, you know, you can get all the pirate copies, but the pirate copies that were ripped at the time, because it's about 10 years ago, they're using weird old file formats that flipping your phone probably isn't going to play. You're going to get a VLC player to play now. And it's owned by Fox, like, so if they don't want any kind of association with Louis C.K. because of these indiscretions, then, like, because I know they're not available for rent on Prime. Like, I mean, slowly what's happening is that, like, as the licenses are expiring by things that are owned by Fox, you know, they're eventually only going to be on Disney Plus. Like, things are, as the licenses are expiring, they're slowly disappearing. And, like, they're not putting Louis on there, like, and there was never a physical release of this. It was on season 3, and only the first 2 seasons ever came out on Blu-ray. So, like, you know, there's things that could genuinely be lost because of political things completely unrelated to, and like, he doesn't have the rights to them, so he can't sell it himself or even put it on YouTube because, like, it's still owned by Fox and they've got their super mega copyright software that'll strike anything, like.
It's a grey area, isn't it? You know, it's just like, obviously the guy's been a bit of a retard.
Yeah.
By doing what he did. But he wrote some great comedy. It's like anyone that's had a like minor or major indiscretion in their life. Yeah. It's a really grey area. It's like I really got into a very bleak debate with someone on Twitter about a year or 2 ago because I happened to post a picture of the new 101 Films Blu-ray of Jeepers Creepers.
Yes.
Which is a good movie, but it's directed by a pedophile.
Yeah.
And it's like, well...
An actual hardcore parkour nonce. Yeah, fucking... None of this fucking liking pictures on fucking Instagram. There's a reason you can't buy Clown House anymore.
You can rent Clown House from my store, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... And this guy, you know, he was well within his right to sort of raise the issue. To say, well, you know, why are you stocking Jeepers Creepers, Clown House, Powder, et cetera, et cetera? I'm like, well, you know... These films are bigger than one guy. Yeah. I don't see why the work of 100 or 200 people should be tarnished rather by this idiot. But you know, I could see. Yeah,
and Powder's on Disney Plus, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But I could see the reason why he was so like affronted by the idea that this local video store would house these films. But you know, where did it stop? You know, do you in your Roman Polanski section? Do you bin your Sean Penn section for all the horrific abuse he inflicted on one of his ex-wives? Where did it stop?
And now do we know what else is going to come out? There's a lot of scummy people, and it's hard, but we do have to accept that that's a fact. And like flipping, that could happen to someone who's like the star of any of your favourite films. So if we start applying that logic, any film can disappear. But not a physical copy.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, this is it. Like, so we do need, like, that kind, like, it is important to, like, for physical media to exist, like, and, like, I understand why not everyone wants to be a flipping collector, but I think it is, you know, like, I think people need to start recognizing the worth of, like, rental properties, like.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's important just for education, because you know we're getting to a stage now where we have access to so few films on streaming existing before 1970.
Yeah,
and you know, it's so scary. You know, you got kids who are like 16, 17, 18 who are getting into films.
Yeah,
and they've got no way of watching watching these movies in an inexpensive way, because everyone's got money. You know, you shouldn't. It's working against the working class.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're working class, you don't have money. You know, you're struggling to exist. You're struggling to pay a fuel bill.
Yeah.
And you can't even access the films that you're beginning to be passionate about because they don't exist in any other format other than like Blu-ray, which is going to be 15 to 20 quid. They can't afford that.
Yeah.
So there has to be some inexpensive way for people to access, obviously, some great movie history.
At the point you're like collecting Blu-rays, then that's something. Then you've already become so invested that you're willing to put your money into it. Like flipping people aren't blind buying unless they know about their taste in movies. So
well, why would you blow like 20 quid on something when we need to eat? With every month that goes by, it's going to be harder and harder to live. So why would you go and buy something you know nothing about? Which is why, like I say, I've got 14,000 films available to rent, and they're £3 for £5 for 1 week. So for £1.66, you can rent like a lip-smacking, gorgeous Blu-ray of whatever the latest era release. Yeah, it'll cost you 20 quid, but no, you can rent it for £1.66. And I think it's important to give people an opportunity, because you don't want another. I mean, we're already screwing up people day in day out with the people that are running the country. So
this is it.
Why exacerbate that by making it harder and harder to access art?
Yeah, this is it. Like flipping, I think you're doing a great service, man. Like, and I didn't realise it was a week rental. It used to be like 2 nights rental back in the day. Like, or we'd have the rental van.
Yeah. Things changed, don't they? I mean, that's the biggest barrier. People presume that things are the way they used to be. People presume that you'll be standing there with a stopwatch at 6 p.m. waiting for the film to come back. But we're laid back. All we want is for people to rent the movies.
Yeah.
Rent the movies and watch them. That's what we want.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. It's about the art.
Ah, fair dues, man. Fair dues. I don't know, that's flipping interesting. I can get up to Bedminton on a flipping, £4 day rider. That's £9 in total for a week's entertainment.
Genius.
Flipping looks good to me, man. Flipping sounds good. We're just breezing past the hour mark. I reckon we can kind of wrap it up there. But I know you've got loads of things going on. So what would you like to plug? And what would you like people to get eyes on?
I don't know. I mean, came out this week at the Species box set from 88 Films on Blu-ray, which you've got 2 audio commentaries on.
Oh yeah, I'm copying
cool. That. Yeah. Then we got Zone Troopers, the great Charlie Band movie from '85, coming out in June, which is cool. We got a commentary on that. We got bits coming up with our own, bits coming up with 88, but they haven't been announced, so we can't mention those. And yeah, so it's just literally a case of finishing our book, which is Volume 1 of Schlock and Awe, which gives you 250 films that have been forgotten, they've been left behind on VHS. And so it's just the first volume, which gives you a window into that world.
Yeah.
So just doing that, but just day to day, just the schlockpit.com.
Okay.
Where you can find all about our indiscretions and stuff.
Okay, and we still got the Schlock and Awe podcast running.
We're season 2. We're on erotic thrillers at the moment.
Yeah.
So we've done the Night Eyes franchise. We've done the Body Chemistry franchise. We've done a whole episode on a great filmmaker called Jag Mundra, who made a whole host of erotic thrillers. So the next episode, I think we're due to record it in May sometime.
Yeah.
For a year. So
I've noticed that. I don't know if it's just coming in. I don't know if there's more of them being uploaded or if there's more of them sneaking into my algorithm. But I've noticed there's a lot of flipping Body Chemistry films and that kind of thing turning up on Prime lately.
Yeah, but I mean they've long been gone. So hopefully some of them are going to be dug up and put somewhere, because it seems a shame, throughout the 90s. I mean, say about 1990 to 1998, until the internet sort of redefined pornography. There was about 300, 400, 500 erotic thrillers made over 8 years.
Jesus.
Nuts. But it's great. They're awesome films, sort of kind of neo-noir films.
Yeah.
And they need to be discovered, because I would hate for them to be sort of lost
forever,
which would be a real shame. But
yeah. All right, fair dues. Okay, we're going to wrap it up there, but I will say I'm going to be dropping this on Thursday, whatever the next Thursday is. But if you are if you are near or capable of getting to Bristol on Saturday, April the 30th, get down there for Don't Flop. It's the April Fool's event. You can catch me battling Reverse. I'm also going to be doing some freestyle shit. Me and Boski battling and Mr. Tongue Twister. So that's going to be sick. All the YouTube things, like if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, help me. I need the numbers. The audio channels are doing really well, and the YouTube isn't. If you're listening on an audio channel, so just give us a bump on YouTube, man. I need the help, man. It's rough out here, man. Seriously, just have a look on YouTube, because this studio's nice, man. I got it looking nice for you here. I know I could try and keep it sounding nice for the audio channels, but I got it looking nice as well. Trust me. Yo, I'm Kinell. This has been Sinister Cinema. Thanks again, Dave Wain.
Pleasure.
Peace.